Director of Air India, joining us. We also have Captain Amit Singh, the founder of Safety Matters Foundation, who's on the show. That's called the News Night. And also we have Dr. Sumeet, who in fact is, not a VVIP. He's a commoner, like they say, Aam Aadmi. So we'll give the first voice to the Aam Aadmi, Jitendra Bhargavji and Captain Saab, with your permission. Dr. Sumeet Saab, thank you for speaking to us on the News Night. Now, I want you to please tell us what happened with you, which flight were you on, and whatever the DGCA has announced in the last few hours, do you think this really helps you?
I don't think so that it's really helping right now, because the flight last night I was catching a flight from Raipur to Delhi. The flight was delayed for 40 minutes, and after boarding the flight was full of mosquitoes. It was really like the passengers were like, like how we do fishing, they were just trying to catch mosquitoes on board. So it was pathetic, like on board. And when we start talking to the cabin crews, they are really unprofessional. They say like, we don't option for this thing. What we should expect then?
Okay, I think what you say here, Sumit, is important, because you say, what can I do? And this is the same helplessness, Jitendra Bhargavji, that I remember that, even when I was with another network, we've been speaking for ages, for ages together. What do we do? What is it that we can do? You've been raising your voice. We've been doing such shows. Does anything even change, sir?
Let me first begin by saying, you have pointed out deficiencies of various kinds, passenger inconveniences, passengers outbursts, etc., which is all legitimate. But all complaints ought to be taken into consideration by looking at the magnitude of operation, number of passengers who fly. Because by judging on these kind of statements made by various people, it would mean that the Indian aviation industry is in a pathetic state, which is not a state, will not be a factual statement. Now let's come one by one on this. Yes, Shivraj Chauhan's seat being broken, inexcusable. Mosquitoes on a flight, as those passengers said, inexcusable. There are certain things that need to be done by the airlines, and the onus is on the airlines to ensure that they provide the right kind of services, the expected and what is committed. That is where DGCA's latest circular come into fact, that they and the air charter promises a certain thing on behalf of the airline, and airline must live up to those promises. That is the key point of it. But to presume that because the direction to the airlines to send the link along with the ticket would mean that DGCA presumes that all complaints are arising out of ignorance of passengers. Mm-hmm. The fact is, the onus has to be placed on the airline, as you very rightly said, that look, this is what you've committed, but do not, and if you have an operational constraint, share it with the passenger. Take David Warner's example, for example, when he says, and you cited that example case, said that, look, we were on an aircraft, but there were no pilots on board. Now, how does an airline operate? One pilot can do 3-4 flights in a day. He's moving from one city to another sector. The plane is to arrive. The weather condition in Bangalore is bad. The flight has got delayed. So they're waiting for the plane to land, and pilots will move from one aircraft to another, and the plane will be in a state of takeoff. Yes. If they were to board the passengers after the pilots had come in, it would lead to delay of things. So what I would expect is that while the air charter lists out what are the rights of the passengers, operational constraints, the onus is on the airline to share it and put it in public domain. There was no reason why the cabin crew could not have announced to David Warner and other passengers on that flight that, look, this is the reason why the delay, for David Warner to conclude that there were no pilots available.
Okay, I think, Jitendra Bhargavji, you make some very fair points, and only because I'm running a little short of time, I want to get Captain Amit Singh also into this conversation. Now, Amit, when you hear and see what you have seen on the story so far, you have been speaking on the issue for the longest time, again, I remember. But tell me something. Is it the fact that the DGCA is fair, simple, toothless, or the airlines don't care because they're making money?
It's both. It's maximizing profits and lack of oversight. DGCA alone cannot do everything. So DGCA is empowered, but they don't have the capability. That is why you have the airlines who should do self-governance, passengers who should know their rights and demand And there should be NGOs who should be involved to help both DGCA and the passengers at the airports. So at present, we are operating at bare minimum. Airlines do bare minimum and share minimum, minimum communication, and care minimum. So that is the minimum agenda at which we are operating. What we need to do is educate people. So that is where other agencies come in to educate people that this is how you learn. I have suggested a lot of ideas through which you can educate, micro-learning, have videos at the airport. You can't list out things on the ticket or the website. People, airports are cultural gateways. People
Yes.
from different strata, educated, uneducated, poor, rich, travel. But there are certain sections which have to be identified that they need help.
Okay.
So, for example, the lady passenger who had difficulty, who also fell down
Yes.
probably. So there are rules inside the website of DGCA, which are not listed in the charter, which says that if a person of reduced mobility is coming, then the car should basically alight the person closer to the door, not 3 levels or 3 traffic lanes away.
Okay.
So these things, there are a lot of regulations which are inside the DGCA regulations, which are not privy to the public.
Yes,
So that's
so
why you
I
need
think
an
more of what we
intermediary
know,
organization which
more of it
educates.
is also what we don't know. Like, I think Captain Amit has hit the nail on the head. Gentlemen, only for want of time, but this is a conversation that we continue to keep having. I'm thanking Jitendra Bhargavji, Captain Amit, and also Sumit for his time and helping us understand the issues that he faced. And let's not forget, none of these stories is done or dusted unless we understand what are the big takeaways. And that, on the News Night, we call the bottom line.